another Tom, Dick, or Dave. These are our frenzy faves.
Thank you, Professor. Today, our Frenzy Fave is a favorite Twilight Zone episode, and this Twilight Zone episode comes from Season 3, Episode 19, The Hunt. Okay, The Hunt was directed by Harold D. Schuster. It was written by Earl Hamner Jr., best known as the narrator and creator of The Waltons. The original air date was January 26, 1962, and for our cast, we have Arthur Honeycutt as Hyder Simpson, Jeanette Nolan as Rachel Simpson, Titus Mode as Wesley Milner, Orville Sherman as Tillman Miller. We had Charles Seal as Reverend Wood. We had Robert Falk as Gatekeeper. And we had Dexter DuPont as the Angel.
Okay, back in the settler backwoodsy days, an old-timer named Hyder and his dog Rip come home to the cabin where his wife Rachel is making food. He wants to bring Rip inside, and Rachel says, no, he's full of ticks and bugs and stuff. But Hyder says, any place that is too highfalutin for Rip is too highfalutin for me. So she relents and lets him in. Now, even though they kind of opens with a little bit of contentiousness between them, they've obviously been together for a very long time, and they are very, very close. Hyder says he's going to go out hunting for raccoons tonight, and Rachel asks him not to go because she's seen some bad omens, but he goes anyway. Quiet, old woman, I'm not going to let your dreams, judge whether I can go out raccoon hunting. So he goes anyway. So while hunting, Rip chases a raccoon into a river and he doesn't come out. So Hyder jumps in to get him and he disappears as well. Now, Hyder and Rip, quote, wake up, unquote, at the side of the stream in the morning, wondering what happened. They go out walking some and see the Miller boys burying a dog that's recently passed. Hyder tries to talk with him, but it's like they can't hear him. So he goes off onto his house and he sees that he and Rip have died and there's much sorrow. And Rachel is very, very upset. So he and kind of Ghost Rip follow the casket to the graveyard. People still can't hear or see them. He tries to go home, but then on the way, there's a fence that they've never seen before and they follow it. And by, there is a gate with a gatekeeper that tells Hyder that he and Rip are dead. And now it's time to go inside and implies that it's heaven. And there's some, smoke that maybe it's clouds. Maybe the smoke is clouds off in the distance. And why can't we hear the music for the heavenly music? Oh, well, we're too far away, but you go in and you'll be able to hear it right away. So he goes to go in, but Rip won't go in. And the gatekeeper says, oh, well, dogs aren't allowed anyway. And Hyder is like, what? Hyder says, any place that's too highfalutin for Rip is too highfalutin for me. So he decides not to go in. And he continues following the fence. So he and Rip walk some more, and they meet someone on the road that says, come over this way to heaven. Hyder and Rip, we can't wait to bring you into heaven. Hyder says, well, wasn't that other place with the gatekeeper heaven? And the guy who turns out to be an angel says, oh, no, that is the other place. He's always trying to get people to go in, even at the last moment. Hyder says, well, if I go to this place you call heaven, can Rip come along? And the angel says, of course, it wouldn't be a heaven without dogs. Duh. And Hyder knows he's in the right place. And as he enters this new area, presumably heaven, the angel says, don't worry, you won't be lonely for long. Rachel should be along any time now. And Hyder's happy about that. I don't know about like him being happy about that, but there you have it. I did like the story. It was a little on the nose. I think, post Sixth Sense, everybody realizes that Hyder's dead, right at the very beginning. We see this coming from a mile away. And, Hyder's trying to talk to people as they're burying the dog and nobody will talk to him and he still doesn't get it. And it's like, come on, man, watch a movie. Now, this episode was like 50, 60 years ago, and they only have 22 minutes to tell like a complete story. And this story does take those shortcuts. The marital banter between Hyder and Rachel, it's very old-fashioned and, again, kind of on the nose. But, they don't have a lot of time to, establish the relationship between them. I like this episode, but I think that it's maybe not quite to the level of some of the others that we have, reviewed on this podcast recently. I would love to hear your comments, Chris, on The Hunt.
Thanks, Prof. The plot is based on a 1953 episode of the Kate Smith Hour entitled The Hound of Heaven, which was written by Earl Hamner himself, the creator / narrator of The Waltons, as previously stated. Now, you can find this, believe it or not, it's on YouTube. And James Dean, yes, that James Dean plays the good angel toward the end. And he's really magnetic, and he's kind of out there a little bit with his dialogue, so it's worth a watch. As I said in a previous podcast, the Earl Hamner Jr. episodes usually have a backwoods setting and or deal with death, and here he gives us both. I will grant you, I think that this episode is a bit unconventional by Twilight Zone standards. There is no real building tension throughout this episode, and the big reveal at the end of this is heaven and that other place was hell may resonate differently depending on the viewer. And I think perhaps due in part that this was previously a previously written story, but they sort of tinkered and reworked it into a Twilight Zone episode. I think that may give this a different feel. Some of the elephants were maybe driven too home. Set designer says, hey, we got to get this backwoods feel to it. So they go all out, with the shack in the field with no real surroundings. The music is sad harmonica all the way through. They're really beating this drum with respect to that, and it's sort of got this real backwoods country feel to it. And maybe it hits it a little too hard with that. But I think for me, there's sort of like a timelessness to it. This could be set in 1960 or this could be set in 1860 with that ruralness of this episode. And either decade, it wouldn't feel any different just with the way it's set. I did some research with respect to this, and I remember one of the things that stuck out to me because I own this book. The episode was criticized by Mark Scott Zicree, who was the author of the Twilight Zone Companion. And in this book, he said he really didn't like the direction, and he really didn't think much of the acting. Also, doing some prep for the episode, I read yesterday that while preparing for the show, that writer Earl Hamner himself really didn't care for Arthur Honeycutt's performance. He played it. He thought that he played it way too seriously, and he should have taken a little more lighthearted approach with it. And I'm asking myself, wait a minute, lighthearted? His character just died. What's he supposed to think or feel throughout this? I thought Honeycutt was just fine. I really had no problem with his acting at all. And I think as he's realizing the sequence of events, I thought it was sort of true to his character, at least the vibe with the way I got. I thought it worked for me. A couple other comments. Now, Robin, who is our mascot of the show, wanted us to point out, though, too, could the dog name Rip, R-I-P, stand for rest in peace? That makes one give pause and wonder there. So little nuance, a little clever touch in an episode that I didn't quite catch. So thank you, Robin. For me, I think this episode addresses and satisfies the questions and answers the curiosity that one might have about the afterlife, and also wondering if any family pets are allowed. And for that, I have to say this is one of my favorites for all of those elements. So that it worked for me. And Professor, I'm sorry, it didn't quite work as much for you, but they can't all hit a home run. But still, I think it was a solid episode.
Oh, absolutely. And I do not. That didn't occur to me that Honeycutt didn't give a good performance. I thought he was great, and I thought Jeanette Nolan was great too as wife.
Oh, absolutely.
I thought they were terrific together.
Oh, yeah. Totally credible and believable, and I really bought it.
Yep. So that was one of our favorite Twilight Zone episodes.
Not just another Tom, Dick, or Dave. These are our frenzy faves.